Orange Cove, California. A few years back, my wife and I were traveling up to the Sequoias, and we took a new shortcut route as we had a new baby and were looking for a park to stop off at so she could nurse him and we could give him a change. Google showed us this park at the end of a cul-de-sac. We drive in and we're chatting and not really paying attention because we've gone to the Sequoias for years and it just seemed like business as usual. But little things on the street are starting to register with me almost subconsciously. There are like 10 or 20 dogs just roaming free on the street. Every house is barred and chain-linked, and a few people are starting to come out of their houses to watch as we drive. We get to the park, and it's completely broken down and overgrown, but we're still talking, and we get out to go sit on a bench so she can feed the kid. As we get out, I notice there's a large dumpster sitting wide ways in the street next to the park that looks out of place and purposeful. Then as we sit and start to lay out the changing pad to change his diaper, I look at the graffiti on the picnic benches. There's the normal inscrutable writings and various forms of members, but then I notice these incredibly brutal depictions of, like, dismembered cops. It just felt like they were warnings and not just drawings. Right then this truck pulls up past the dumpster that was in the road and then backs up until it's almost touching the dumpster, and I immediately realize why the dumpster is positioned like that, so that no one can see that truck from the main street. The men just stay in the truck, looking at us. My wife is still talking, and I say, "Let's go. We need to get back to the car." Normally she'd question me or say some banter about me telling her what to do, but something about my tone, and she immediately got up and said, "What's wrong?" I said, "Let's just get in the car." "No car seat. Keep him in your lap." I open the door and get both of them in, move as quickly as I can to the driver's side, get in, and make a quick U-turn back down the road. As we're driving out, the truck starts following us, and almost every house now has people standing at the front of their chain-link fences, watching us. We get back to the main road, turn off, and the truck stops following us. We pull over a few blocks down and take stock of the almost ghost town this main road goes down. We put our kid back in his car seat, do a quick Google search for Orange Cove, and find that at the time it had one of the densest gang populations in California, and vow never to go back there again. The area around Manly, Louisiana. The town was nice, great Mexican food. But once you're out of town, it's 30 minutes on bad roads to the highway. I was sent out there for a job. Nothing is paved. County roads are gravel or dead-end into gullies, wild dogs roaming, and random houses are just abandoned in the woods. Locals from town won't go into some of the areas like Cushetta. Nothing matches the map, and there was no cell service. I passed an abandoned hospital or something. It was a sign and then foundations in the woods. The creepiest part was I was talking to some locals, and a guy tells me out of nowhere, "Oh yeah, I saw you by the lake. Figured you weren't from here." I hadn't seen him there at all. It was a one-lane dirt road. He kept talking, and it turned he knew where I'd been all day. He and his friends had kept tabs on me, and his smile scared the hell out of me. I've never left a town so fast. I feel like this comment doesn't fully explain the weirdness and creepiness of the abandoned houses, wild dogs, and locals keeping tabs on me all day. I was driving back from out east a few years back with the family when our trip through Louisiana was diverted north and then west. So, not only did we have to add a few hours to our trip, but we had to pass through several sundown towns. Past sundown, I had my wife and daughter with me, and we had to stop for gas. Had to. I pull into a gas station. The whole area was eerily quiet, one street light down the road. I get out, knowing the town's reputation, and move as quickly and carefully as I can. Family is Arab/Mexican mix to pump gas. As I am finishing, I see something moving in the shadows off to the side of the street light, about 300 to 500 yards away. 3 men walking toward our general direction. Now, it could be nothing, but it was around 10:45 p.m. on a weekday, and I wasn't going to find out. I close out the purchase, put the cap back on, get in the car, and start moving out of there. As I pass the street light on my way out, the men try and wave me down. Once, far from the big city, there was a small town filled with industrious and independent people. These good people believed in a good mind and a healthy body, so they saw to it that all their children went to school and had good teachers. They built the finest of libraries. They also made playing fields and built skating rinks and a hockey arena so that they and their children might have fresh air and exercise. The parents and elders loved music and art, so formed orchestras and bands and fostered writing and drama and art. Creativity thrived. The people designed airplanes, and the world's first parachute was tested above this small town. A mushroom-shaped water tower, homemade, sprouted all over the world a new and better symbol. The people were loyal citizens and patriotic. They formed a militia and built an armory. But they loved peace. So up went a great bridge for peace across the water. And so it went with these wise, far-sighted people, one advancement after another. Their young excelled, and some went on to great things in one and all of these things in sports, the military, as priests, in business, the law, medicine, science, the arts and learning. But the good people didn't stop there. They wanted a place to help their doctors treat their sick and save lives. They wanted a place better than an old house to birth babies. They wished to encourage outsiders to come in and their young to come back. With the help of the doctors, they built a hospital. It was far in advance of its time. It flourished and paid for itself. Even old people from the city were moving to this welcoming place with all of its amenities. For many, many years, Americans flooded into the area for the hot sand and blue summer waters. They felt safe in case of accident or illness, as the hospital treated all comers alike and well. Like the town elders, the doctors were of the best, skilled and resourceful. And all visitors and citizens knew it. The Americans knew it so well that they sent their young doctors in training to this small town hospital, to its fine emergency room, to learn. They learned how a small town cares for its injured and sick, and they taught the local people and doctors new ways of looking at things. All was going well, and then a chilling shiver arrived. In the midst of all this accomplishment and well-being, there came one day a Gothic bureaucrat from a nearby poorly planned place who thought and schemed, "We want this hospital. We'll take from it to balance our losses. We'll explain it as progress. We'll impose the big city prefabricated plan on these country bozos and call it enlightened. They won't know it'll never fit." A serial psychopathic corporate killer was on the loose, and so came the beginning of the end. The small town's hospital was stolen, incorporated into a wide network of failing facilities scattered far afield. Bit by bit, it was dismembered. First to go was the small children's ward. Now sick children, admitted to places far away for treatment, could no longer be visited daily by their parents and grandparents. Little children terrified with simple croup must suffer alone in fear in the midst of total strangers. Incidentally, the first hometown doctor to close pediatric shop and work over the way in the East still lives here and writes this. Next to go was birthing. No more children were ever to be born in their own hometown again. The town's very birthright was callously hijacked. It goes on. Gradually and deceptively, all advanced and hard-won services dwindled or were torn away. No more intensive care to treat people with heart attacks. Young people with simple fractures must go far afield. Even old people with pneumonia were banished to distant hospital wards, and many have died all alone. Now the beautiful hospital is a shell of its former self. Now, amazingly, you have to pay to park next to it. It's the only paying parking lot in town, a testimony to bureaucratic mindless stupidity and utter and complete greed. Soon the emergency room and ambulances will be gone. The wide area that pounced on the small hospital is devoid of public transportation. Sick people without any car will soon be dying in their homes or on the street. Even people traveling to distant hospitals, termed as sites by the crass, unfeeling bureaucrats, will be dying en route in their relative cars.